Okay, let's talk about why upgrade an old Athearn Blue Box. This is a Athearn F45 Blue Box, manufactured in the 1970s. For this conversion, originally I probably paid, about 20 bucks for this locomotive. To do this upgrade, you got to buy a chip. You're going to spend 42 bucks pretty reliably on eBay for the chip. Put you up to $67. You're going to spend about $32, maybe a little more, $30 to $40, call it, for a motor. In this particular case, I used the Northwest Short Lines motor. It's a good motor. Comes with a drive. I'm not particularly thrilled with the drive assembly. It's not a bad drive assembly, but in my opinion, you might want to give up a little bit of the motor performance. It's not a big decrease, and go with a newer Athearn motor with a hex and dog bone style drive. I think you're going to find an easier conversion. This drivetrain's a little clunky to work with, and the couplers don't fit very well, so you're going to have to go to the extra step of fitting and possibly milling the connections to get them to work on your drive. So for the same kind of money, like I say, you may want to consider a newer Athearn motor with a hex dog bone style. So again, let's say you spend, those are on eBay reliably again for about 30 bucks. So if you look at the whole conversion, you buy an engine for 20, let's call it 25 on eBay. You really don't care whether it runs or not. All you want is a good set of trucks and a good body. So you spend 20 bucks, 25 bucks on it, 30 bucks for a motor. You're into it for 55. You buy a chip for 45. For under $100. You have everything you need to make a good conversion. There's a couple of other things you're going to have to do. In this particular case, you can see the fan assemblies have all been modified, and I have etched metal fan assemblies now on these. The advantage of the etched metal fan assembly is that you got to have a way to get sound out of the motor of the locomotive box, and you're not going to be able to do that with a solid box. So you're going to have to put either some etched metal fans in there. The kits are 10 bucks. 2 kits will do this whole engine. You might spend as much as $20. There's an easier way to do it. You can just put an etched metal hatch. You can see in this other F45 I just added an etched metal hatch top. So there's the top of your engine, and my sound is coming through the etched metal on the top. Looks good, it's clean, and it's awfully easy to do. So let's go ahead and see what you get for 100 bucks. In this particular case, I've taken the front light and hardwired that, and then used the DCC front light connections to put a light on the top. So you can add a yard light. You can configure that for either blinking, like I have it, a strobe, or just a steady light. In this particular case, I went for a blinking light. You're going to get your bells. You're going to get your whistles. You're going to get your dynamic braking. You're going to get some miscellaneous engine air noises, coupling noises, brake noises, a mute button, and a little huff sound, a little air noise there. Probably can't hear that. Like I say, on this particular engine, I have done some modifications to the etched metal fans, you know, really make it stand out. You can see I've also added some sun visors. We'll bring this around now. We're going to take this to the first speed step. You can see how nicely that starts. Once you get your engine put together, you go through, there's a clear and simple programming guide that will help you program your engine. I set up this service track so I could do exactly that, get the power supplied to the engine properly, and then set up the bell and whistle and sounds. This particular chip comes initially set up with steam engine sounds, so you've got to switch the CVs on that. Not a particularly difficult job, and it's well described. So you can see here in this case the headlamp, I simply hardwired that in with LEDs. You generally run them with the headlamps on for a little flash when you're running them anyway. And now I've also got my beacon off, beacon on, and again you can program that for strobe, flash, or solid. You can see how nicely the engine performs on the low end. That's the first speed step. The Digitrax manual describes how to program those speed steps so that you get the proper amount of power. If you put too much power, you start to lose performance from speed step to speed step. So let's speed this up. You can see it rolls out nicely. The drive line is quiet. You don't have a lot of drive line noise in this old Blue Box. Most of the Blue Box noise is going to come from an engine that's out of balance and not from the drivetrain. So we're cranked up here to about half speed. On a scale basis, this is maybe 65 miles an hour. So again, you're able to take an engine with, it's, you know, 1970s engine. You can get 1960s engines, 1980s engines. They're all good engines. You know, that's nice about this is it's a good solid engine. It's not going to break. I pick up my brand new Athearn DCC ready Tsunami Sound SD9 Northern Pacific, and I feel like, you know, I'm going to break it. This thing, you got metal railings. You know, the engine's nice and solid. Everything's coupled together nice and solid. You know, it's a big, heavy engine, and it's going to pull a lot of cars. So you're going to have great pulling power. I got an engine that has all the bells and whistles that my $225 engine does, and I got it all for $100 and a few hours worth of work. So you can see, if you're looking for an engine that's going to perform well, here's your low speed step backwards. Going to perform well. That's going to give you DCC control. You can run out, get onto eBay, find an old engine, an old Athearn Blue Box, invest in an upgraded motor to that old Blue Box. Sometimes you don't. Some of these old motors run just fine. If they're noisy, on DC, they're going to be noisy on DCC, and you just spent money to buy a nice sound DCC sound system. So why do you want to have a noisy engine that drowns out your engine sounds? So again, you know, $100 all in, and you've got yourself a DCC Blue Box engine from the 1970s. You're saving a piece of history, and you got an engine with all kinds of flash. The only thing I would say is that, you know, when you go to the narrower bodies, you're going to have to look at a different type of speaker. The tops of the narrower Athearns are not going to work. They're going to be too narrow to get your speaker in. For another $10 now, you're up to $52 on a $42 chip. So now you're $52 for the chip. You can buy a narrower speaker, and that narrower speaker will fit. Some of the other concerns, like I say, you're going to have to put a grill in it. It's a little bit of work, but again, you know, that little bit of work doesn't just pay off to make the engine look good. It also pays off to get your sound out of the engine. Otherwise, you got a box that's not going to give you any sound. So, couple things to consider in your conversion. So give DCC conversion a try. For half the price of the new engine, I think you get something every bit as good, and you save a base of Athearn history. Don't forget, these old cars, these old locos, were all made in the USA, lock, stock, and barrel. Everything you're buying now is made in China. So you could take a nice old Athearn, all made in America, bring it up to the modern era DCC, save yourself money, and get a beautiful engine.